Good morning, grade 11s. I am sorry to be away today, so I thought I'd just leave a little video to get you started. I have told your supply teacher that you're wonderful, so please don't disappoint me. I think you're great. So yesterday we were looking at a chart. I would like you to dig that chart out, please, so we can finish the rest of it together. And we filled in information that we know by just looking at the form the way it is and not changing it. So for the first one, for instance, it's in standard form. So we knew that the standard form gives us the y-intercept and the direction of opening depending on whether that first term has a positive or a negative in front of it. So we filled the chart in with the y-intercept of 3 and the direction of opening up. So this is how we filled it out. Could you pause this for a moment and just make sure that all of your answers are correct? I want to go over this one when you're done. For the one that we starred, finding the x-intercepts was a little bit odd, so I thought we would go over that one. When we have an equation in factored form, or x-intercept form, it's easy to find the x-intercepts. Now most of us can eyeball it. This one, for instance, the x-intercept would be x equals -7. The reason that is so is that when we're looking for x-intercepts, our y value is 0. So we set it equal to 0, and that means that one or the other of the brackets would be 0 to find an x-intercept. So for the first one, the one that we just looked at, if I set x plus 7 equal to 0, so that I have a 0 here, and 0 times anything gives me the 0 for the y, then I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and that's why my x-intercept is -7. For the first bracket, I could do the same thing. To find the x-intercept that corresponds to that one, I would set it equal to 0 and solve, and that would give me the x-intercept. All right, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And then I would divide both sides by -2. And you know that a negative over a negative is a positive, so the x-intercept that goes with that bracket is x equals 1/2. That's a little harder to eyeball. So be careful. If you have a number in front of the x in factored form, you're going to have a fraction for the x-intercept. So make sure that line also followed correctly and you had the right answers. If you turn that chart over, we looked at 3 different quadratics and we just gleaned the information that was easy to find. For this one, we noticed that the y-intercept was -24. And we noticed that it opened upwards. We're going to spend today just changing forms, which we're really good at, but finding the other bits of information. So for example, for this one, my first thought would be to try and factor it. I happen to like factoring, so I'm going to try. I would look at that and go through my check sheet. The first thing is there a greatest common factor other than 1? No. It's not a difference of squares. So it's a trinomial, either simple or more difficult. This one is a simple trinomial, so I should be able to factor it with 2 sets of brackets. X goes at the beginning of both brackets, and then I need to come up with 2 numbers that multiply to -24 and add to -2. My 2 numbers would be 6 and 4 would work if it was 6 that was negative. So the order doesn't matter. I'm going to factor it as x minus 6, x plus 4. I have changed forms to factored form. From that form, I can find all of the other information. From this form, I have x-intercepts, 6 and -4. So you could write those on the front side of your sheet under that example. The other thing that we're looking for is the axis of symmetry and then the vertex. So the axis of symmetry is always written as x equals, and it is the middle of the 2 x-intercepts. All right, I'm not sure where I was. I had a knock on the door. We're going to average these 2 x-intercepts to find that axis of symmetry. So to average them, I'd have -4 and 6 together and divide by 2. Which will give me 2 over 2, which is 1. My axis of symmetry would be x equals 1. My vertex The axis of symmetry runs through the vertex. So let's just, like a quick little sketch here. If I have x-intercepts at -4 and at 6, and I have a y-intercept of -24, let's just make it up. My vertex is at x equals 1, or the axis of symmetry runs through x equals 1. My vertex is going to be right, oh, that's dreadful. I'm sorry. That's a really flattened out parabola. All right, my vertex is just slightly lower than -24, isn't it? So to find my y value of the vertex, I'm going to substitute x equals 1. If I put 1 into the equation, I'm going to use the factored form, because I can do that faster in my head. Y equals 1 minus 6, and put a 1 in for this x as well, 1 plus 4. Minus 5 plus 5. Here we go. Minus 25. My vertex is 1 and negative 25. The second one. We had that in vertex form. So we knew the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and that it opened up. But we want to change forms. So I'm going to change it to standard form. And I'm going to do that by foiling or expanding. So to expand, I would write it out carefully so that I know to foil and then tidy up. So for the first two brackets we are foiling. We will get x squared. Outside inside is plus 2x, which would be 4x. Lasts would be 4. One last tidy up, we're almost done. Equals x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 4 cancel. So we have it in standard form. Standard form gives us the y-intercept. The y-intercept is invisible. So the y-intercept for this one is a 0. For standard form, if I wanted the x-intercepts, I could use the quadratic formula. Or I could change forms yet again and factor. Let's use the quadratic formula because we could probably use the practice. All right, here we go. In standard form, my A is here, my B is there, my C is invisible. It's right there. We want to find the x-intercepts. My formula is minus B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. Let's plug in the numbers. Negative B is negative 4, plus or minus B squared is 16. Minus 4 times A, which is invisible 1, times C, which is 0, over 2 times invisible 1. Going to tidy up a little bit. This one will be nice because it's got a 0 in it. Plus or minus 16 take away 4 times 1 times 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So all we're left with is 16 in the root. Negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 is a 4 over 2. Here are our two answers. The first one is when I do the plus, and the second one is when I do the subtract. So negative 4 plus 4 is 0. 0 over 2. And that's a 0. So one of my x-intercepts will be 0. The second one, for x equals, is when I have negative 4 subtract 4 and divide by 2. It's negative 4. My two x-intercepts are 0 or negative 4, and I have the other pieces. The last form we already did, we were able to find everything from this form, so it's already been done. So on your chart, when you have factored form, it should already be complete. Could you and your partner please fill out the rest of the chart by changing forms? You're going to need some extra paper on the side. Change forms for the ones where you have missing bits and fill in the answers. I'd like you to pause the video, please, and when everybody's done, we can put the solutions up and you can check your answers. After you're done filling in the chart, and checking, then you have the rest of the period to work on your RLT. I'm not planning on giving you any more time, so please make use of it. The graphing calculators are in the cupboard. I'll leave some graph paper out for you. You're going to be marked on thinking and communication again, and this one you could do a really great job. After what I saw with the groups yesterday, it was absolutely stunning. So please make use of the time and then check your answers in a moment.